Let's go to the runner's knot. But this time, the runner's knot supreme. How we doing out there? This has been a long time coming. Finally, an update to how to tie your running shoes. And I'm going to do it right now. Question of the day. How do you tie your running shoes? And maybe you've never thought about this detail as a runner. It's actually critical. You know, whether you're doing an easy day, whether you're doing a hard mountain run, whether you're racing a road marathon, maybe a cross-country race where there's a lot of mud and sludge and you don't want your cross-country spike. I've seen that happen actually a lot, where a cross-country spike will come off in the middle of a race and you kind of have to make a decision whether you keep racing or you stop and put the shoe back on. So today we're talking about the runner's knot supreme and how to tie it, and I'm going to do my best. Oh yeah, by the way, shout out to FP, you know who you are, for giving me this idea for today's vlog. So I've been tying the runner's knot since the beginning, 1997. But I've learned a new twist, and I'm slowly integrating it into my regimen as to how I lace up my running shoes. And as you know, I test out a lot of running shoes every year, over 100 shoes per year, and about 300 different running shoes I've tested since 2019. So therefore, I've learned how laces react with the eyelet chain on the top of your foot, along with, and let's do it right now. So I'm going to do my best to take close-up pictures and close-up videos so you can see exactly what I'm talking about. And let's answer the question right now. Why tie the runner's knot? Okay, and I'm sure other athletes around the world use this knot as well. Football players, basketball players, probably not hockey players, maybe hockey players. So here's the deal. At the top of the eyelet chain, so let's actually do the anatomy of the running shoe first. We've got the heel counter here in the back. We've got the heel tab on top of the heel counter. We've got the collar of the shoe that wraps around your ankle. We have the tongue, of course, and then we have the eyelet chain, okay? The eyelet chain is what holds the laces on the shoe. And then at the very top of most, if not, I would say 98% of running shoes have this extra hole at the top of the eyelet chain. That hole there is for the runner's knot, okay? So there's the anatomy of the shoe, and here it is on your screen as far as how you can lace up your shoes for creating, oh yeah, the answer. Why the runner's knot is you don't want ever, but especially when you're racing, I talk about this a lot in the studio, you never want your running shoe to be slipping off of your foot, especially through the heel pocket, which is inside the shoe there, because you create so much force and power and torque through that heel, right at the base and the bottom of your heel. You don't want your heel slipping out of the shoe at all. So the runner's knot helps, if not, prevents almost all the time, depending on how good you are at tying the runner's knot. And I guess I'll make a little tip of the day right now. It will take time to dial in and hone in how tight you will tie this runner's knot, okay? So at the top of the eyelet chain, and I'm just gonna set the shoe down and just kind of do it with you on screen. So you create these two loops at the top of the eyelet chain. You cross the laces over. So from the right side over to the left loop, and from the left side over to the right loop, and then you slowly start to cinch down, okay? And as you're cinching down, and again, this will just take time, and it will change from running shoe to running shoe. So that's another note. It'll also change depending on the sock that you're wearing. Key point, running socks react different to the running shoe, depending on the type of inner lining that the running shoe has. Some inner linings, like this Nimbus 24 from Asics, actually has a little bit of, I'm going to say, friction inside, which I love. Some running shoes are, I will say, way too slick on the inside, and so that will also impact how much you kind of cinch down on this runner's knot. Then, what makes the runner's knot supreme? So I'll just, let's do the crossover, the traditional crossover. Once the runner's knot is in place, you cinch it down, and that cinch is what creates that hug at the back of the heel counter that brings your heel locked in. Okay, so you cinch down, and then I was raised with the bunny ears. You can do it either way though, so I'm going to do the bunny ears. So what you're going to do, you got to make, this is critical, as you're creating your bunny ears or however you tie your shoes at the top, I'm going to do the bunny ears. You're not striving. You have to do a square knot, okay? You don't want the laces to be parallel with the shoe. You want the laces to lay perpendicular, so across the shoe, all right? But what makes it supreme is the surgical knot, okay? So rather than just putting here we go. So rather than just putting it through once, you're actually gonna wrap it around twice, all right? And that is what creates a surgical knot. I realize these laces are white, but again, I'm gonna try and get a close-up shot for all of you. Now, on easy days, you're done. Frankly, you really don't need to double knot it, okay? For racing, I personally double knot. I always double knot on race day, even frankly mountain run days, or if you know you're gonna be dealing with mud and snow. But if you're just doing an easy day, because the beauty is that if you do the surgical knot correctly, and see how the laces, well, I'm going to try and film it as well, but they're perpendicular to the shoe. They're not parallel up and down. Then to untie on an easy day, or another tip of the day, if your fingers are freezing, and it's a winter run, like sometimes it's very challenging to untie your running shoelaces. You can just do one pull to untie. So sometimes that comes in very handy when your fingers are cold. And I've had to ask True Love to untie my shoes sometimes when my fingers are so cold. It's a painstaking process. So that's what makes this the runner's knot supreme. I'm gonna just do it again for all of you. All right, so we're just gonna do through the rabbit hole as I learned it. That's why I call it the bunny ears twice to create the surgeon's knot. But now for me, for race day, I do it again. And this makes it actually quite challenging to untie after your race, but I would prefer to go this route on race day to make sure the laces do not come untied. Okay, so once you get that, and I realize there are many, many, many ways, and again, the question of the day, how do you tie your running shoes? And maybe if you want to do an extra bonus points down in the comments, how do you, if you lace and tie your racing shoes a little differently, maybe you could share that added bonus points down below in the comments as well. But because there's a lot of different strategies depending on what your foot looks like and how it reacts to the upper of the shoe, that will impact how you actually lace up here through the eyelet chain. There's a lot of different strategies for doing this. Does that make sense? I hope I got some really good shots for you to make it. So the reason I switched these laces out is so the white is reacting against this Nimbus 24 blue color. So hopefully you could see it. Ask your questions down below in the comments if that did not make sense. Runner's knot supreme. The key is the loops at the top of the eyelet chain. That's what those extra holes are for, in case you never knew that. And then the surgical knot is what I've learned recently. And I don't do it all the time because I'm trying to break my habit of 24 years of just tying a knot after the runner's knot is implemented. But slowly but surely, I'm really falling in love with this surgical knot. Again, perpendicular, not parallel. There we go. Comment of the day goes out to, let's get it in, Daniel Davis. It's kind of long. It connects to yesterday's vlog really, really well. This is fascinating, talking about marathon training. And if you're new to the channel, welcome. Hit that subscribe button if you really want to learn about marathon training right now. I'll link to this marathon training playlist in the description, but also upper right-hand corner, which is where this comment is coming from. All right, here we go. I am a physician scientist, thank you for tuning in, who used the pandemic as an opportunity to get back into hiking. I experienced the same surge in fitness at about 6 weeks, and with an undergraduate minor in kinesiology, I was motivated to find an explanation. It's not completely worked out, but some important factors being explored include more efficient muscle storage and reaccessing of glycogen, stored glucose, enlargement of muscle fibers. You are on it, sir. You are on it. Requiring the manufacture of new protein, which takes some time. Neovascularization, the formation, we talked about this a couple days ago, the formation of new blood vessels to deliver oxygen and glucose, which also takes some time, and parallel improvements in the efficiency of the cardiovascular system. Remember that the heart, we also talked about this a couple days ago, remember that the heart is also a muscle and goes through a lot of the same growth or stuff. Thanks a ton for your efforts and positivity. It is much appreciated. Daniel, thank you for the insight. You're a physician scientist. Obviously, you have a background in science. We lean into you and your expertise, just as hopefully you leaned in a little bit today as far as how to tie the runner's knot and the runner's knot supreme. Onward and upward, we will toss it to, you know what, we'll go to the throwback to the old runner's knot vlog from 2 or 3 years ago. Okay, now we finally have an update, and hopefully that helped. Right there, right there, right there. All right, seek beauty, work hard, and love each other. See you tomorrow.